Welcome to the den, the Dingus Den.
Welcome to the Dingus Den for a new episode of the Comic Club, where I'm joined, recurring guest here, Acedakid. We're back here for Predator vs. Wolverine issue 2. We had a great time talking about the first one, so we're here to talk about the second one. And so,
Yeah.
it's going to be a good time here. I guess as usual, before we get into the overall summary of this, is there any overall thoughts that you wanted to talk about before we get into it?
I have this issue gave me so many questions, like continuity wise. So like I have a lot of things to talk about that in that aspect of it.
Yeah. It's interesting because it made me feel like, oh, they're going out of continuity. And usually when there is big crossovers like this, it's usually not in continuity, and that's usually the general rule. And so, but I feel like at the end of the day, it's something that where it still could be if they really wanted to, but I feel like it's not. I feel like it's just a
Yeah.
set of side stories, especially with where it ends up, makes me feel like, I don't think it is. But I guess so. Before we talk about this, let's just go ahead and highlight all the amazing people that has worked on this. Benjamin Percy, who wrote it, and we have a bunch of artists, as we always do in this one, just because, like I said, each time period is a different set of artists here. And so we got Ken Lashley, Andrea DeVito, Hayden Sherman, Juan Fernandez, and Alex Guimarães. All amazing artwork that they've done here. But let's just go ahead and get right into this issue, where it begins in that present time where Wolverine is hanging out on the side of the cliff. He's just been hanging there for a bit, from the last issue. Remember in like the first quarter of that, they kind of like showed off like this big initial showdown between the two. If you missed the first part, go back and watch the first part, as this picks up right from that to where, like I said, we just see Wolverine hanging off the cliff there. He's trying to move elsewhere because he just felt his like healing factor just kick in. But a rock then falls, which then catches attention of like these like drones from the Predator. He then smashes one, and then others just blow up on the side of the cliff, where the Wolverine just then falls down into this river below, where he's then just pinned down because there's this avalanche just coming in and just starting to pin him down at the bottom there. And as we leave this scene, we then see that a Predator is just coming up in the water, ready to finish his job. But now we're going to cut to South America, where cliffhanger of last issue, remember, was we saw Team X encounter this whole group of Predators, right? So, cut to South America, to where we then see Team X here is at a standoff with the Predators. We see one of them specifically start like make this like eye contact with Wolverine, realizing it was the one before. There's also this nice little detail of like his like claws, claw marks over the over his helmet, like from the bear. Call back to the first issue there. Anyway, Wolverine then takes this Predator gadget he kept as a necklace, like one of their blade thingies. I don't know what they're called, like that circular blade thing with like all the blades that come out of it. He then takes that and just throws it and cuts off one of their arms with it, and then he just orders everyone to fall back, and then the other Predators just cloak themselves. We could see Sabretooth by himself, where he's then like disobeying Wolverine's orders. He's blind firing his huge machine gun, and then there's this Predator that comes up behind him, stabs him with his javelin, and then Sabretooth just grabs the Predator and impales him also with the javelin, which results in just both of them going down. Team X continues to run away. However, while running away, Jackson then gets caught in a trap, and then a moment later, you just see Jackson's body just fall headless. Then all of a sudden, we just see this big explosion that occurs, to where you can tell it injures both Wolverine and Maverick a bit. But Wolverine has his healing factor, so he's there to check out Maverick really quick. When all of a sudden, this cloaked predator comes up from behind Wolverine. However, Maverick then saves Wolverine, shooting the predator a few times, and then they retreat into these temple ruins. We then see a couple of remaining predators uncloak, and they find the injured one that was shot by Maverick. However, sort of like in this predator hunting, sort of like their sense of honor kind of it reminds me of like similar like the Japanese sort of honor of where it kills himself with one of the predator blades since he's just there, just injured. Anyway, we're gonna cut to Wolverine and Maverick in the temple, where they find a whole room of explosives and the general they came to originally find. However, they make an agreement to work together, because remember, Team X was originally sent to hunt down and kind of like put an end to this general who's trying to like take a bunch of power to himself. I think some sort of like political sort of deal or something. So anyway, Wolverine and Maverick find this general along with a big room of explosives. But they make this agreement to work together since it's a bunch of aliens that are very deadly outside. And so, an hour later, we then see like there's the predators then break into the building. They then kill off a bit of the general soldiers. The predators are then tracking one of their devices, and they find it. However, this device led them right into the middle of the room of explosives, where they all just beep, and then all of a sudden they explode. And so what we see is the remains of Team X then evacuate. We can see that Wolverine tells Thorne that, well, everyone died. However, we see that's a lie because he made a deal with the general, so the general's free. And we see the Predator come out, a Predator hand specifically come out from the rubble. And then to end this issue, we cut forward in time, years later to Alberta, Canada, Weapon X facility, where we just see a couple of guards guarding the entrance, who is then just all of a sudden murdered by the Predator, who then breaks in and just slaughters everybody as he just goes through the facility. And it just ends with seeing him tower over sleeping Wolverine. And there we have it. That was issue 2.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I guess what did you just think of it overall?
Overall, man, to see X Force, is it X Force or Strike Team X?
Team X.
Team X. Okay. So to see Team X just get fucked like that is actually super interesting, because like the only times I've actually seen like Team X in action was in the Wolverine Origins movie.
Oh right. Yeah.
Yeah, like I
Forgot
haven't
about
read
that.
a lot of the comics that include them. So like to see like a hand selected specialized squad just get demolished.
Yeah.
Like I was like, oof, they are not playing around.
Yeah, they're really Predators really be screwing up. I think it's a great way to like, show that like, they are the big threat here, right? I'm gonna say personally though, one of the moments that stands out the most to me is we have this moment where, Sabretooth, who's always confident, cocky in everything he does, he's still this way against all of them. And then we just see a javelin, he just gets stabbed by that javelin, right? And so I love that way of how his cockiness gets him to what I thought he would die. Well, we'll get to that in a moment. And so we seeing that, and then he does that move of just taking down that Predator with him. I thought was awesome.
Yeah, that was my thing. Is that like Sabretooth's healing
Mhm.
factor is on par with Wolverine's, so like he's not out. Like he's definitely not out.
Well, that's the thing though too is I didn't notice this the first time when raiding, but the second time when raiding, if you look at the panel when the helicopter comes to get them after um the big temple explosion, you see Sabretooth is actually there because there's 3 remaining members of Team X and not just the 2 that we saw.
Oh, I missed that completely.
It took me a moment and I realized it was Sabretooth because it shows his backpack there, but they have no mention of Sabretooth actually there because it made it look like Sabretooth kind of like died for a moment, right? And so,
Yeah.
I mean, I think at the end of the day it makes sense though because Sabretooth is known to have a healing factor on par to Wolverine, if not maybe even better. I'm not completely sure on that, but you know, good. Point is, he's still alive.
Like pointing out the fact that like Sabretooth comes and finds Wolverine on his birthday every year. Like like I love that aspect of Sabretooth is he's just a menace. That's all he is. He's just there to fuck shit up. And I love that.
He's a great villain, that's for sure. But yeah, I definitely like seeing an earlier Sabretooth here at Team X. I think his moment was a huge highlight of this book. And just like, you know, you're just seeing all the other members of Team X. Some of them kind of gruesome, right? Especially kind of like the beheading. Right? Yeah. That was something else right there.
I don't know like who Jackson is or what their skills are.
Me neither. And they made Jackson kind of... We didn't even get to see Jackson do anything. That's the thing. Jackson just ran into a noose, goes up, and the next thing you know, it just dies.
Yeah.
But yeah. This issue had a lot of cool stuff. I want to take a moment too. You know, we see at the very beginning we see the 2 resume their fight that we saw. You know, obviously a little bit of time passed since Wolverine let his healing factor kick in, but it was essentially right after it all. That was neat to see. Sort of just more of that fight continue. You know, it was a very quick one though compared to last time. We have the avalanche come down, and it's really interesting because I don't remember the exact wording of it, but Wolverine's like, you know, he's already weighed down because of his adamantium skeleton when he's down into the water, and so on top of that, there's an avalanche, and now there's just a Predator to come in too. And so we have like 2 huge cliffhangers here, because we know the beginning of the next issue is most likely going to pick up from this as well, which will be interesting.
Yeah,
to see where it all goes.
Like seeing Wolverine, like again, like last time I mentioned that, like seeing Wolverine be more tactical, and like there's the panel where he's like, I don't know if it's been like a couple of minutes or an hour, but I've been standing here waiting to heal so that I can maybe move.
Right.
And then as soon as he moves, he's like, ah, shit.
Right. Rock falls, everything goes to crap.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
He's literally stuck between a rock and a hard place at this point.
Literally. But yeah, no, that's... You know, what a way to begin the issue, and then once you get back into the time, it's just one of those things. It's a very quick read just because it's pretty much action almost the entire time, right? Very action packed, and so it was a fun quick read. So I enjoyed the first issue a little more, but I still really like this one though.
Yeah, I think this issue does more to like build up the whole aspect of like them fighting throughout the years,
right?
And how this has been a fight for a long time,
right?
And I think that's what this issue was made to do, was to make you realize that like this isn't just like he ran into a Predator, they had a fight, and that's it. No, this has been going on for decades.
Right. We have it looks like we now know of 4 time periods. I don't know if they're going to try to jam in another. I don't see them trying to jam in another just cuz this is a 4-issue miniseries. We know, you know, we obviously had the first period in the first issue of him being his very early years in Alaska, young Logan, right? We then have this one of little Logan a bit later of the Team X, and then we're getting him to be Weapon X when he's newly Wolverine, or getting his adamantium stuff, and then I just don't see him in the last issue trying to shoehorn in another one, because I feel like that last issue is going to be reserved for the current time to resolve everything, and so we'll see what happens there.
I think there's only two other time periods that like Logan is really known for, which is like World War II and then like future Logan. And I don't think they're gonna they already skipped the World War II one,
right?
And I don't think they're gonna try to get like old man Logan in there. So because even in the cutaways where it's like the current fight, he's like X-Men Wolverine at this point,
right?
Yep. He's kind of got the suit on, like you can tell that he's really, yeah. So I think that. I think the third issue is gonna go over. These are just my predictions. I think the third issue is gonna go over like Weapon X, Canada, and then the fourth issue is gonna be like their final fight right now as it's happening.
That makes sense. One other thing I wanted to bring up here was that, we obviously see that Weapon X facility at the end here. That's where this issue ends off. And we see, the final panel is of Predator standing over Wolverine. And we know that during this time, when Wolverine escapes this, he breaks out after getting his adamantium skeleton, he's a literal beast, right? It's like the most feral you ever see Wolverine, right? And so, we've been talking about, especially a lot during the first issue, we see this Wolverine be a bit more, we get to know a bit more of the thought process behind Wolverine, to where, he feels more tactical than just the beast that we kind of see him as portrayed on screen, right? Whether it's the cartoon or the movies, right? However, this time we're going to see him be a literal beast as soon as that Predator wakes him up, because the Predator's going to be here thinking he's at his most vulnerable, and oh boy, that Predator's going to be very wrong.
Yeah, and you also have to take into account that up until this point, right, he had only fought Wolverine with his bone claws.
Right. Yeah.
Now, he's meeting Wolverine at the Weapon X with full adamantium now,
right?
And so that's gonna be a whole new challenge for him. And I love it because at the end of the issue it said, if he thinks that Wolverine is hard to kill before, wait till he meets him now. And it's just like, yeah, Wolverine's about to do some damage. Honestly, if it was me and Wolverine fucked me up that bad, I'd have to get my get back later anyway.
Exactly. Yeah, no, that Predator is just wanting revenge now. Every time he comes back to Wolverine, he just has more and more hatred, I'm sure it's feeling, because he's like, my failed hunt. He's keep on trying it over and over and over. Yeah. I wonder if he's going to get it at the end, though. We'll see. Because it seems like Wolverine's the obvious victor here, and he keeps on winning, but he's going to keep on winning every time? We'll see.
That's the thing, is he keeps getting out by the skin of his teeth too.
Yeah,
it isn't a decisive victory ever. It's
very close. We'll see.
There is something I wanted to point out that I saw.
Sure.
That he had like a little vial of like acid blood that he poured on the dude's face. The Predator did.
Yeah, at the end, right? Yes, I know what you're talking about.
I don't remember ever seeing them use that before. That's interesting.
It's a good question. That's a very good question. I'd have to look into a little bit on that, as far as where that was used before. I'm sure it's been used somewhere before. I just don't remember. I'll be honest. I like Predator more, I'd say casually, just because I've seen the first one a few times. It's a classic. Second one, it's a fine sequel. Predators, it's the only one I haven't seen all of. The Predator was terrible, but I think my favorite one's actually that newest one, Prey, that came out. That was really good. But point is, go watch it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really yeah, I don't know. I think Predator's just one of those things to where it's the story is kind of like almost like just repeat itself in a way, because it's always just like, okay, here's a hunter that always ends up losing at the end of the day, and so which is probably what's going to happen in this side bet, but still, it'll be cool to see where this all goes. But yeah, I'm just curious of I'm not completely sure of where that is either. I'd have to look into that.
Yeah,
I'm sure
I think I said it last time. I think I said it last time where it like Predator stands in as like a physical manifestation of like there's always somebody stronger.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
like in most of the Predator movies and whatever other media they go through, like the person that the Predator is hunting is an expert in their field, is a badass in their own right, and they get
Yeah.
humbled by Predator very fucking quickly.
Yeah.
so I think
So it
that
is.
that's what the Predator stands for a lot of the times, and I love to see, and I'm loving seeing that even Wolverine is not immune to this, to where it's like, all right, bro, you are technically immortal, you
Yeah.
you're strong as shit, but somebody's gonna test you, bro, and Predator's testing them hard.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, that's for sure, and I think that's definitely the big point of all these different time periods you're going through. So it'll be interesting to see how this Weapon X one goes for when we cover this next time, because we already have the plans to do the next two, and so keep an eye out for that. Do you have any other sort of like thoughts on this issue? I feel like we've covered it all pretty well, but if you have anything else.
Yeah, I'm just excited to see Wolverine go the fuck off. Like,
I am too. I am too. So it'll be a good time when we get to go back or go do the other two, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, no, it's been great having you back here.
thank you, I appreciate it.
Yeah, always, always. Where can the people find you at again?
Um, I am on Instagram at Acedakid 1994. That's really the only social I
There you
have right
go.
now.
There you go. Go check him out on Instagram, and Dingus Den now has a Instagram that's been out for I don't know a little bit now, but yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, go follow Dingus Den on Instagram and Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, Twix, I guess. But yeah, anyway, have a good one. See you all later next time on the Dingus
Have a
Den.
good one. Peace.
Thank you for watching this video. Before you go, be sure to smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and share this video. See you next time here on the Dingus Den.